Hello? Hello? C4. Who was white? It was me. 1, C4. E5. 2. Knight C3. Knight F6. G3. Bishop C5. E3? Because whenever the bishop's on C5, there was one, just because of this one time, I played like 5 games in a row, blitz or something, like a year ago, I don't know, ages ago. There's one time this guy kept on sacrificing his bishop to take the F2 pawn, and then you take back with the king, and then the knight comes over. It's some sort of crazy gambit. No one is ever going to do that in a tournament game. And yet, I can't help but block that by pushing E3, just to blunt the diagonal. So 4, E3, knight C6, bishop G2, castles, knight F3, D5, 7, C takes D5, knight takes D5. Oh, and then I take a little think here, and I say to myself, what if I eat that pawn? It looks free, because if I take that pawn, then sure, he can take back, but if he takes back, then that other knight, something else is vulnerable. Yeah, the knight that took on D5, he would have been susceptible to a double attack, a 2 versus 1 from my knight and bishop, so I would get that if he took my rook. But, I also calculated, what if he doesn't take? And then I thought to myself, what if he takes my knight on C3? Well, then I'll take his knight on C6. And then, well, we don't need to play hypotheticals here, because this is the way it went down. Move 8. Knight takes E5. Knight takes C3. 9. Knight takes C6. Knight takes D1. 10. Knight takes D8. Knight takes F2. 11. King takes F2. Rook takes D8. 12. D4. So look at that crazy exchange, and after all that, I'm not up a pawn. But we have a crazy position. At least it's equal, and we get to play way out of book. Who knows what's happening at this point? So 12. D4. Bishop B6. 13. B4. C6. 14. Bishop D2. Bishop E6. Rook H to B1. Bishop D5. 16. Bishop F1. I didn't want to trade. He saw that my bishop was good. We had a little chat after. It was very nice. He saw my bishop was good. He wanted to trade them off. I say no. I'm going to put him back on the starting square. Bishop F1. Bishop E4. But now he's got this wonderful spot for that bishop that, now whose bishop is better? You know, I got my nice bishop out of the way, but instead he gets a good bishop and mine is less good. So what can I do? So 17. Rook c1. f5. Firmly securing that bishop in place. 18. a4. a6. 19. b5. c5. 20. a5. Bishop c7. Now, do you see what's happening here? Why I went a5? I had to take a little think here at a5. I managed to come up with a5, I should say, because there was quite a serious pinch happening on my, what is it, d5 pawn, I believe? It's on d4 or d5. Let me see. I think it's actually on d4. Yeah, it's on d4. So anyway, he has a serious attack going on it. His pawn on, I suppose, c5. Yes, his pawn on c5. His bishop and his rook are all coming down on d4, coming down real hard. But I have this move a5 to distract that bishop, kick away one of the attackers. So he had to go bishop c7. If he had gone a7, then I would have pushed b6 and still blocked him out. So cool things are happening. So on move 20, I went a5 and he went bishop c7 and I went rook takes c5. That pawn is now free and now all the attackers are gone. He goes rook d7, protecting his bishop. And I go bishop c4 check. And he goes king f8. And I go bishop b4, setting up a discovered check. But he goes bishop d6. And it's getting tense now, and I'm having to think real hard about this stuff. This is maybe the most exciting point. And then I go rook c7 because of how he can't take, if he takes my bishop, how's it go? Oh, I'm going to just calmly sit here and let my arrows do all the talking for me at this point because it's too hard for me to think about at this point. But anyway, it's a cool way to keep everything alive. You'll see with my arrows. Or you can just think about it and think about it. Just think real hard. And you'll see that was, I think, the only good move. And I've lost where I am. I'm all frazzled now. Rook takes c5. Rook d7. Bishop c4 check. King f8. Bishop b4. Bishop d6. And, oh yeah, and I go rook c7, because if he takes, then I can take his rook on d7. Or if he takes with the bishop, whatever, he can't take with the bishop because it's pinned, protecting because of my bishop. So rook c7, move 24, king e7, getting him in to help. And now I think for a long time, and I realize there's not much else to do, doesn't matter which order I do it, all those pieces are coming off. So bishop d6 check. And then I wrote king d6, king takes d6. I also wrote a little check for that, but I don't think that's a check. Then I go rook takes d7, check, and then king takes d7. Now the tension's all gone. And I go b6. He goes rook c8. Sorry, I'm not going to go he goes, I go. I tried that last time. It was something, but Let's be professional and say the move number. 28. Bishop b3. Rook c3. 29. Rook a3. King d6. 30. King e2. Bishop c2. 31. King d2. Rook takes b3. 32. Rook takes b3. Bishop takes b3. Is this where I went wrong? Oh yeah, is this, if you can see now, yeah, when did I go rook? Yeah, rook a3, if you didn't know, was a blunderful, terrible thing to do. Because although it looks like I'm protecting my bishop and creating a discovered attack on his rook, right? If I had two moves in a row, basically is what I was thinking, that I would get to go rook a3, and then if he doesn't do anything, I would get to move my bishop with check and take his rook. See, this is where I realize to myself, and even as I was doing it, I was like, this is a bit immature. This is not a real attack. It's like, it's clear as day that obviously the check will come and I would eat his rook. You know, what if I was playing bullet, that would work. Maybe. But anyway, so I know you never get two moves in a row, by the way. You know, sometimes you have that effect by getting a check in and, forcing him to do a specific thing. It sort of feels like you get two moves in a row, but you don't actually, unless it's the rules of chess, one move at a time each. So he just moves his king to a dark square, and now my attack is gone, and he now gets to pile on my bishop because if I can't move my rook, because then the bishop's gone, and so it's all bad. It's all downhill from here. So yeah, rook a3, king d6, king e2, bishop c2. And then I go, oh yeah, I start bringing my king over, even though he's a move too late. Bishop c2, and then move 31, I go king d2. He goes rook takes b3. And here I make another mistake. I should have done the thing that made it so that I got to keep my rook, but I thought that it would be better for him to have a miscolored bishop, a bishop that only can't see any of my pawns. As you can see, all my pawns are on dark squares. And he's like, well, if I just trade off the rooks, he's got a light square bishop and he can't do anything. Is that true? We'll see. So yeah, rook takes b3, and now move 32, rook takes b3, bishop takes b3, and now we just start playing. I'm going to go fast through the rest because nothing really happens except for a sad disintegration of my position. There were some points where I thought I could, keep him out, hold the position somehow, but too many pawn islands, too much to defend, and that extra bishop creating a tempo whenever he wants made it so that not much for me to do. I should have tried to keep the rooks on the board as opposed to, I should have just let my bishop hang. But anyway, these are things we're learning. Look how much I'm learning. So no biggie fries. Move 33, king c3, bishop a4, 34, king b4, bishop b5, 35, king c3, king d5, 36, king b4, g5, 37, What if I did it like this? Ooh, that's hard to see. No, this is awkward. Oh, let's just finish it off. Make it a short video. 35. King C3. Is this weird? Is it working? King C3. King D5. 36. King B4. G5. 37. King C3. I must look like an insane person. Don't stay focused. Oh my gosh. 37. King C3. King E4. 38. King D2. King F3. 39. D5. King E4. 40. D6. King D5. See how I try to pull the king out of the way so that I can move up. I go King C3. He goes King takes D6. I go King D4. He goes H5. For some reason, this is faster. No, I shouldn't do that. 43. E4. F4. 44. E5 check. Yeah. King E6. G takes F4. G takes F4. 46. E4. No, sorry. King E4. F3. King takes F3. King takes E5. 48. King G3. King D5. And then at 49, King H4. He goes Bishop E2. Oh, yeah, I went for that pawn. Of course, he can stop it and everything else with his beautiful bishop protecting all his pawns on the correct colors. And King G5. King C5. And then I realized, I'm not in time to stop anything. He's going to promote. And I ended there. So, learned more. Third loss in a row. Does it hurt? It makes me want to try even harder. I'm still making these sort of... I steered clear of bullet and blitz games more. I tried to stay more on the puzzle side, make sure I'm taking my time, and yet, I still, the thing that is getting me is doing these blunders from, things that it's bad habits from playing too fast and doing these simple tactics that you hope someone won't see. That's only something you want to hope for when you're playing, when they have seconds to think about it. If you have many minutes, by the way, he finished the game it was actually comical. He showed me the clock because he had an hour and 30 minutes on his clock at the end of the game. And that's what you start with. But you get this, see how that's possible is because you get 30 seconds per move. So on average, he was only doing 30 seconds per move. There was some fast moves at the end that made them pile back up. I was down to 37 minutes. I did try to elongate my thinking times, make sure that I don't care how fast he's going. I got to play my speed. And for the most part, I didn't blunder up to the point where I tried to protect that bishop with e3 because I thought there'd be some sneaky attack. But of course, I started thinking only about my cool things and not what, that was a very simple one to miss as well. So, losing on because of dumb things, since I've lost to doing dumb things multiple times now, the sting is not so much. At least he didn't try to resign, and I told him not to. That still is we joked about that. It's like, I'm never doing that again. If someone wants to resign, you just let him. So, now that I know that, and that's concrete in my brain, it is now my main focus is to not think about tactics. Don't have wishful thinking that maybe they won't see a thing. If you see it, and you should try to take the time to see what the best moves are for your opponent, then, you think about that, and if there's anything that he can do, like, for example, move his king to a safer square and then continue with his plot. That's an easy thing to see if you take the time to see it. And like I say, even as I was putting that rook to protect that bishop to kind of come up with this attack, I was like, this is dumb. I remember I heard in my mind as I was doing it, it's like, this is so immature. What a silly attack, but whatever. That's an emotional or maybe a fatigue decision where, but this is how we learn. So thank you again for suffering with me. I'm going to listen to this on the way home. So mostly I'm just thanking myself for making these recaps so that I can think about this stuff as I go home and hopefully imprint the lessons a bit deeper. Thanks. Okay, great. Good times. See you next week.